Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. Pretty impromptu video because they just came out with the 2023 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees. Kate Bush, Sheryl Crow, Missy Elliott, Iron Maiden, Joy Division, New Order, Cyndi Lauper, George Michael, Willie Nelson, Rage Against the Machine, Soundgarden, The Spinners, A Tribe Called Quest, White Stripes, and Warren Zevon. So what do you think about this? It's time for me to rant. I've seen tons of videos of people ranting and just spouting their opinion, and that's what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do a little bit more because sometimes you need to see things to put things in perspective more than me just talking. So what do I see when I look at this list? I see something that's been rampant in this country pretty much my whole life, but it's certainly gotten a lot more serious and more destructive in a way, potentially. And I see diversity. Now, diversity is a wonderful thing. I've seen it in the workplace my whole life, people getting positions maybe that they didn't just get based on performance, but because, it's important for companies and the country as a whole to be diverse and be mixing cultures together, different races and different ethnicities and different sexualities. All of that is really important, and I'm all for diversity. But when it comes to awards, whether it's the Academy Awards or the Tonys or the Grammys or the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, awards should be based on the best. Who is the best? Doesn't matter what your ethnicity is, your sexuality, your race. Give it to who is the most deserving, who is the best. And when diversity creeps into awards where you have to choose somebody based on another criteria, it dilutes the power of really what the best is. And that's what I see here. So what do I think? Listen, this is interesting. So Kate Bush is up. Now, Kate Bush was up a year ago. I happen to be a big fan of Kate Bush. I would have nominated Kate Bush last year because I think she should be in. I knew she would never get in because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is an American institution. Me being an Anglophile, I love, British music. And I know, well aware, that Kate Bush is possibly the most successful, most important female artist maybe in the history of British music. She's more legendary, more powerful than Madonna. I mean, this is just some of her recordings in this box set. They're all legendary. They're all super important. And I have every one of her albums, tons more downstairs. But I knew she never had a shot in America because she was unknown. But lo and behold, Stranger Things picks up Running Up That Hill, becomes a huge hit. Now all the cool people say they're Kate Bush fans, and she'll probably get in. So I don't have a problem with Kate Bush getting in. It's just how she's getting in. Now all of a sudden, because people know her, she's going to get in. Because it's about ratings and it's about the show. And it's not about who the best of the best is. We couldn't put Kate Bush in because nobody knew her. Now people know her. We can put her in. That's just one example. Another artist that's up there that I don't have a problem with is the White Stripes. I'm not the biggest White Stripes fan. But there's no doubt that the White Stripes, are one of the most influential bands of their time. Completely unique, hugely successful. Jack White is a maverick doing multiple bands. Really, I don't have a problem with the White Stripes getting in, except I don't think they should get in yet because of all these other acts that I'm about to show you. Who else is nominated? Warren Zevon. I'm a big fan of Warren Zevon. In theory, I don't have a problem with him getting in. But why is he suddenly nominated? Is it because Billy Joel put pressure on the Hall of Fame and sent letters saying that you got to nominate him? Warren Zevon is a great, great songwriter who's had very little commercial success, except a lot of his great songs were covered by Linda Ronstadt and others. Here's his first album. Here's Excitable Boy. These are great, great albums. If you get a best of, which is what a lot of people have, he's loaded with great songs, and he's an amazing talent. And again, I don't really have a problem with Warren Zevon getting in. It's just that when you look at his overall discography, he didn't sell a tremendous amount of records, and it's very spotty. A lot of his stuff is really good. Some of it's not so good. But if you take the best of his stuff, yeah, it's really good over time. And again, I don't have a problem with them getting in. It's just that I'm going to compare them to some of these other artists who have longer and bigger, discographies that are completely overlooked. That's where it gets, the problem is, it's so inconsistent when you look at the Hall of Fame. They want to put this year in, they're going to nominate Cyndi Lauper, right? So here's Cyndi Lauper's 2 best albums, and this is really what she's known for. Of course, Girls Just Want to Have Fun and True Colors, and I think she was really excellent. In fact, I saw the True Colors tour at Madison Square Garden. Eddie Money opened up. She was great. I think she's the real deal. She was in Blue Angel before. But she's known for those 2 albums. Really. The Go-Go's, I always bring up, they got in because of 1 album. If you're going to put an artist in because of 1 album or maybe 2 albums, then how do you bypass groups that have huge discographies? Now you're going to say, so what? Maybe they have huge discographies of crap, and I'd rather have somebody in who's got 1 great album, or like the Sex Pistols. Do they deserve to be in? Yeah, I think they do. Their lasting impact was amazing. The Velvet Underground had 4 amazing albums. But even so, I think you're going to see what I'm talking about. Now, another one that is nominated is Sheryl Crow. I'm a huge Sheryl Crow fan. I think she should get in on the first vote. And here's why. This gigantic stack is Sheryl Crow's discography. It's huge. It's huge. And it's great. She's a real deal. She writes her own songs. She plays the instruments. And she doesn't really dip. All of her stuff is great, whether it's the debut album. And, I got a million of her albums. The self-titled second album is phenomenal. There's the Globe Sessions. Come On, Come On. Wildflower. Detours. 100 Miles from Memphis. By Myself. Feels Like Home. Threads. She is the real deal. She should be in. Big discography. Super talented. Writes her own songs. Fantastic. Get her in first time out. Absolutely agree with it. Who else is on here? Iron Maiden. I'm not a fan of Iron Maiden at all. I just don't care for their music. But I don't have a problem with them being in there because they're clearly the real deal. They're a massive band. They have a huge discography. They sell out arenas and stadiums worldwide. Huge, huge band. George Michael, super talented singer, writes some of his own songs, has a couple of solo records. To me, he's more pop. Willie Nelson, listen, Willie Nelson's about as rock and roll in theory as you can get in the way he is and his rebelliousness. He's got a huge career, and I have a ton of Willie Nelson. But am I going to put Willie Nelson in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame before these people? No, he's really a country artist, but he does cross over into popular music. If you're going to put Dolly Parton in, then Willie Nelson's got to be in there, and so should Waylon Jennings, and so should Chris Christopherson. It goes on and on, but is it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or is it the Popular Music Hall of Fame? You know what I'm saying? I think you get it. Missy Elliott, A Tribe Called Quest. Let's see some people that are not only not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but have never been nominated. And let's just kind of compare. Now, you talk about an Anglophile that I am, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is an American institution. Status Quo will never get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Look at this discography. These are classic albums after classic albums. They are an institution across the pond. These albums are just amazing. They'll never get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because in America, they're unknown. But, who knows? Maybe one day Stranger Things will pick a great Status Quo song and they'll become famous now like Kate Bush, and then maybe they'll get in. I have a huge sore spot for Grand Funk, that they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Because if you were around in the 70s, Grand Funk in America was one of the biggest bands in America and in the world, actually. Worldwide band. Look at this discography. Now, are all of these albums perfect? Are all of these albums amazingly great? No. But the Go-Go's are in for one great album. You're probably going to put Cyndi Lauper in for one great album, one good album. Richie Valens is in for 3 songs that he didn't even write, all of them. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is known, a lot of the early people are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for a handful of songs. How do you not put in this discography? Even if not all of the albums are amazingly fantastic, they all have great songs on them. And if you add up all of those great songs, it's a lot more than 3 that Richie Valens got. Know what I'm saying? Let's look at Blue Oyster Cult, one of the smartest, most intellectual, hard rock, heavy metal, melodic bands. They were huge in the 70s. They should be in just for Don't Fear the Reaper, Burning for You, and Godzilla, because everybody knows those songs. But look at these albums. These are classic albums. They're not ever nominated. I mean, this is unbelievable. But you're going to put in Cyndi Lauper for 1 album and a half. And I like Cyndi Lauper. And I like Warren Zevon. But this is discographies, influential, sold a lot of records, played arenas. Great, legendary band. Never nominated. Let's keep going, shall we? Peter Frampton. Peter Frampton, you're going to put somebody in for 1 great album. He should be in for Frampton Comes Alive. Only the greatest live album ever made, in my opinion. But he's got a huge discography. That's still going strong. I'm not going to show you every Frampton album because it would take me, I could do a 45-minute video on his discography. Phenomenal. Certain kind of genres are always overlooked. Progressive rock finally is starting to get its due a little bit. Yes, finally made it in. And of course, Pink Floyd and Genesis. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. For God's sakes. If you like progressive rock, this is like, it's unbelievable. It's phenomenal. Never nominated. They only sold out stadiums in the 70s and 80s, sold lots of records. Totally original, by the way, which is really, I think a great quality. Jay Giles Band. Geez, in my opinion, one of the greatest American rock bands of all time. A lot of people used to say they were the American version of the Rolling Stones. They don't really sound anything like the Stones. And everybody now might say, well, you can't put them in. It's just Centerfold, that annoying song, and I love Centerfold. Or Freeze Frame. No, this is what we're talking about. Huge. This is one of the greatest live albums of all time. Monkey Island. This another great live album of all time. Then they finally break it big with Love Stings. Classic album. Freeze Frame. Another live record. Jay Giles Band. Peter Wolf. One of the greatest lead vocalist performers of all time. Look at these songs. Give It To Me. Must Have Got Lost. Tons more. Never nominated. Now we'll put Missy Elliott in instead. Now, what about Southern Rock? Leonard Skinner's in. Allman Brothers are in. I think the Charlie Daniels Band should be in. I've talked about the Charlie Daniels Band. They're not a country rock band. They were a rock and roll band with 2 drummers, jamming Fire on the Mountain, Night Rider, Saddle Tramp, High Lonesome, Midnight Wind, Million Mile Reflections. One of the greatest runs in the history of Southern rock, and it still sounds amazing. Charlie Daniels Band. You want to talk about Southern rock? Marshall Tucker Band. Another great band. I'm showing you the discographies. And I want you to compare these to the people that they're nominating who have a couple of hit songs. It's ridiculous. This is a legacy. These are long-term acts. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be long-term stuff. Well, let me show you another one. Heavy metal, they're going to have Iron Maiden in it. I'm not a fan of Iron Maiden, but I don't have a problem with them. But, somebody else, you want to talk about a great one. How about UFO? Look at these. This is all legendary album after legendary album. And they're great. And one of the greatest live albums of all time as well. Now, there are viewers out there, and I agree, who would say, listen, the idea of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's only the very, very best. The pinnacle. Maybe you should only put 1 act in there a year. Or maybe skip a year if nobody qualifies. And I understand that, and I kind of agree with that. It really should be the best of the best of the best. But that's not what happened. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has become a huge business to get a show with high ratings so people are interested, and diversity. Diversity. But if you're going to put in these artists that I talked about, and you're thinking about putting the Spinners in, can anybody name a Spinners album? Did they sell a lot of records? Did they have a couple of great songs? Sure they do. A Tribe Called Quest. George Michael's got a couple of good solo records. Soundgarden's got a couple of really good songs. But I mean, I'm showing you discographies, you know? And if you're going to put people in that only had one great song, you know, or one great album, you know, how do you not put Boston in? Only one, maybe the greatest debut album of all time, but certainly way up there. And even his second album's not too bad, and this one's not too bad. How about REO Speedwagon? They've been around since the late 60s. Took them forever to cut it big, different lineups and things like that. Another Kill Alive album. Maybe you put them in. If you're going to put other people in for one great album, you put them in for you. REO Speedwagon could be in for these two albums. You could tune a piano, but can't tune a fish, and High Infidelity. Unbelievable records. And they're still going. They still put out really good stuff. And there's a lot of deep stuff with REO Speedwagon. What about Bad Company? Legendary supergroup. Now, is their albums pretty spotty? Yeah, but the first album, the second album is amazing. And then they got the other ones as well. I mean, here's a 2 CD set loaded with classic after classic. Richie Valens is in for 3 songs. Look at that discography right there. I don't know. Get what I'm saying? I think you do. Sometimes you need to see it. I'm not the biggest Foreigner fan, but they're one of the biggest selling acts in the history of Atlantic Records. And you know what? They were the real deal. And when you look at their discography, great album. Great album. Really good album. Great album. Really good album. This is really great stuff. Now, in a perfect world, are these the best of the best of the best? No. But if you watered it down, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame like they have, then all of these acts with this huge discographies are very worthy to be in there. Now let's see me get really pissed off, because the number one omission, which drives me crazy, is Jethro Tull. Jethro Tull, in my opinion, one of the most unique, greatest bands in the history of rock and roll. Nobody's ever sounded like them. Nobody still sounds like them. They change it up, different sounds, different albums, different lineups. Ian Anderson's a genius, but he doesn't play the game. He's prickly. He's honest. He's like a Pete Townsend. Tells you exactly what he wants to tell you. And he pisses people off, and he doesn't play the game. And Jon Wenner hates Ian Anderson, hates Jethro Tull. They never even been nominated. Now, I have like 100 plus Jethro Tull albums. These are these deluxe editions right here. My phone is ringing, and I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you this in a second here. Let me show you. Let me show you something here as my phone is ringing. This discography alone, how is this not going to be Hall of Fame worthy? This was box set. Stand Up. All of these are these huge box sets. Benefit. Aqualung. A Passion Play. I skipped Thick as a Brick because I have multiple versions that says and the new box set is on the way. War Child. Minstrel in the Gallery. Too Old to Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die. Songs from the Wood. Heavy Horses. Stormfront. A. Broadsword and the Beast. It goes on and on and on and on. Jethro Tull, never even nominated. Sold out Shea Stadium. Played Madison Square Garden, the biggest arenas, countless times. But they don't get nominated. They're number one on my list that not only should be nominated, they should be in there. Hopefully, maybe one day they will be. Uriah Heep's another band that's been going on forever. Huge discography. Really good. And, of course, Wishbone Ash, one of my personal favorites, obviously. They're never going to get in, but also a really influential band with a huge discography. I think you get my feeling. Diversity is a wonderful thing, but when you're talking about the best of the best to win the best movie of the year, or the best stage show, or the best Grammy, or the best album, diversity shouldn't mean anything. It should be who's the best of the best. And when you look at this list, who's really deserving to get in there? Well, I would put Kate Bush in, and I would put Sheryl Crow in. I guess you could put Iron Maiden in, but I'm not a fan, but I understand it. After that, Rage Against the Machine, Soundgarden, I would put any of these bands ahead of them. Same with the White Stripes. And Warren Zevon, great songwriter. Love him. I really do. But I don't even think he's at this level. That's just my opinion. And Cyndi Lauper, well, she's with the Go-Go's. One great album doesn't make a great career. And if you're going to put one great album in, then you got to put in Boston and Styx and Kansas and Bad Company, and there's countless others. Anyway, let me know what you think, as my rant is just about over. Thanks for watching. Please, hit subscribe. Please say like. Check out my other videos. And let me know what you think about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or maybe they should change the name now to the Popular Music Hall of Fame, because I think it's a joke. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you on my next video. Stay safe. Stay healthy out there. I'll see you around.